Hey,
Hey, man, what's up, Rick?
hey, not a whole heck of a lot. And first of all, we can go through introductions in a second, but I wanted to thank you for doing such a great job last week with the one and only John Macri. I was
Oh,
really unhappy I wasn't able to be on last week's show, um, and John just is such an awesome, not just IDP, but just an awesome fantasy analyst that it was a great show. And you and Iggy and um, you also had one other guy,
Matt Montgomery.
Matt Montgomery, filling
Yeah,
in and coming in with the IDP heat. It was a great, great show. So
it was, man. It
kudos.
was a lot of fun, Rick.
And hopefully I'll get a chance to talk with him again. I told him offline that I subscribed to PFF largely just to get his content. I mean, uh,
Mm.
his stuff in IDP is so good and data driven, and folks don't know Pro Football Focus, and I would guess most people into fantasy football know what PFF or Pro Football Focus is, but it's the data the actual teams use to make their decisions. Rostering, contract. I mean, the detailed information that PFF analysts produce is, really just kind of like the high point of data driven analytics. So, and John being a great person to be able to read through all that stuff and give great advice to people. So if you're into IDP or if you're into fantasy football, definitely search him out. And of course, Tip, how are you doing today?
I'm good, brother. I'm good. But you know what? Let's go ahead and bring on our guest because he's been sitting in the green room for a sec. And his name is Brian Dudak. He is an avid fantasy football player. He's a Detroit fan through and through. He loves his Red Wings. He loves his Pistons. I'm pretty sure he loves the Tigers too. So
Yeah,
we're gonna bring Brian in. Brian, what is going on, man? How are you, bro?
I'm doing good. Tipping. It's Thursday, one day closer to Friday. So just counting down the hours now.
That's it, man. That's it. Well, Rick, let's go ahead and get started, man. Let's get right into it.
Okay, well, again, welcome, Brian. And in fact, I think before we dive into fantasy football and other sports Detroit related, let's find out a little bit more about you. So why don't you tell us about your background, where you're from? I'm guessing Detroit, but that isn't always going to be true if the person's wearing a
Right.
Detroit jersey, and what you do both in fantasy football and outside of fantasy football.
All right. Yeah. I was born in Michigan, so I've been a fan of all the Michigan sports teams growing up. Live in South Carolina now, but I still find ways to follow all the Michigan teams down here. Fantasy football. I play fantasy football. You know, I don't do any of the content creating like Tip and some of the other guys do.
Well, and you're missing. And speak of the devil, there's Greg Caldwell Kellogg telling us about what's up, peeps. He, I think, is a Detroit Lions fan and a
Oh
University of
yeah, yeah.
Michigan
Greg's
fan.
all
So
Detroit
I
too.
bet he's hurting right now, just chomping on the bit, wishing he'd be able to be here on the show with you, Brian, since you both share your love of all things Michigan and especially the Detroit Lions. So, but tell us a little bit more. I mean, how long have you been playing fantasy football, and how many leagues are you in?
I'm in 6 or 7 leagues right now, and I've been playing for 10 plus years. used to play with friends in Michigan, and then when I moved, like I didn't play for a few years, and then I found some people on Twitter that do leagues, and I was able to get back into it.
And and maybe you might not want to tell that number, because there are a lot of times where I have to keep the number of leagues kind of quiet. I got into a little bit of trouble this past season when I was in 37 leagues. And there's people that do hundreds of leagues, so 37 doesn't sound that much, but yeah, I'm going to be cutting those down. So how many leagues are you in? And if you can't say because someone's listening, you could just flash it with like numbers of fingers, or
Yeah.
Or give a range.
or a range, like 0 to 25 and 26 to 50.
0 to 10 for me.
Oh,
Okay.
nice.
So-
And do you play all types of different fantasy football, or we mentioned IDP earlier on, and so do you play IDP? Do you play Dynasty, Redraft? What types of leagues do you like?
I do all types. The ones I'm in now are like best ball, and I've got a couple keeper ones, and then I've a couple are just pick them where you just pick the games every week, which is really not fantasy football, but it's simple and easy. Just look at the
And
games and pick the better teams.
And we know that fantasy football is important, but there's other things way more important in life, like family and work and things like that. Can you tell us a little bit about that, about yourself?
Yeah. The reason I moved to South Carolina is because like my brother and sister-in-law, they moved down here, and my parents ended up moving down. So I ended up going down to just to be around family. So we're all in the same area, and I work as a paralegal.
Oh, paralegal, nice.
Nice.
Yeah, my oldest daughter at one time was thinking law as her career. She even got her paralegal certificate from the University of Houston, but then instead got into Homeland Security. That's where her master's is, and in fact is starting a position with the federal government in a couple of weeks in that general area of security analyst or security information analyst. So, well, that's great, and we're really happy that you came on the show tonight. Again, I know Greg's sad that he isn't able to, be on the show, because then you can kind of, I don't know, commiserate about how the Detroit Lions this past year. I won't tease you too much about that. I'll tease Greg about it.
Well,
but,
I want to ask Brian a question though. Since we're on the Lions, and we're going to talk a little bit of news and notes in a moment, but I just really want to know, because it was such a night and day thing that we saw last year with this Detroit Lions team, and I mean, they immediately get a more developed play caller in Drew Petzing. Look, I'm not gonna sit here and poo-poo the guy. I know he hasn't done great things, but then look at what his team was. And then now you get a situation where you got a really good team behind you, a really pretty good offensive line. I think that can build upon that. But give us your thought process on your outlook on the Detroit Lions on the offensive side.
Yeah, I think that them going from but Ben Johnson to John Morton, I think it was. I forget, but there sometimes. But Ben Johnson was a little bit more aggressive, and and Dan Campbell took over the play call midway through the season. I mean, the offensive line could have been better at times for them. But this year, getting Pacheco from Kansas City, I think It was sad to see Monty go because him and Gibbs, they were two different backs, but Pacheco, he and Gibbs, they're gonna be problems for the defenses.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually a good point that you just made. And with Pacheco coming and replacing Monty, um, a lot of people when Montgomery signed or was traded to the Houston Texans, a lot of people thought, oh, that means Gibbs is going to be like going off into the stratospheres in terms of carries and yardage and scores. But do you think Pacheco is going to provide that same degree of balance that they were having with Montgomery? I mean, he is a power back, so I think that there's a good balance in terms of the type of running back. But what are your thoughts on how much this is going to impact Gibbs in 2026?
I think Pacheco will end up getting like maybe say 50-50 with him and Gibbs. And that was kind of the big problem is at times they were a little too run happy with Gibbs and not getting Monty in there. I mean, Monty was more of a power back where where he's just north and south type runner, and Gibbs, they always like to compare him to Barry Sanders because of some of his numbers. He's one of those flashy runners where if he gets side with his speed, I mean, he can make most people miss. And if they're able to split the time evenly with Gibbs, they'll be better off over the course of the season.
Well,
Yeah.
and I know we're going to talk about when we go through our NFL news segment, that we'll talk about some of the big moves. But one of those moves, and it's perhaps not a big move, but it's important, especially to Detroit fans, was Greg Dortch, former Arizona Cardinal wide receiver, going to the Lions and I guess replacing Khalif Raymond as their wide receiver 4. Any thoughts on that move? And I happen to like Greg Dortch. I know a woman whose husband is the offensive line coach for Wake Forest, and the two of them just rave about how great of a person and a player Greg Dortch is. But any thoughts on Greg Dortch coming to the Lions?
It's a good move for them to fill a spot with Raymond leaving. I'll be curious to see if he returns kicks like Raymond did for Detroit.
Yeah, and he's younger too. I'm pretty sure he's
Oh
a good
yeah.
chunk younger too.
Oh yeah. No, Greg Dortch is younger. I like the move. I don't like it for Tesla. I don't like it for him. I think that Amon-Ra is gonna be Amon-Ra. He's gonna get his. I think J-Mo, he'll get his. It's gonna be then a hodgepodge of different guys, and then Sam Laporta, as long as he can stay healthy, that's gonna be a big task too, because this is back. So, um, and then I think they just got Conklin too. Didn't they just get Tyler Conklin?
Yeah,
I saw
yeah,
they just
and
cut Tyler Conklin. So I mean, look, hey, why not? Maybe the Detroit offense always utilizes a tight end, and Drew Petzing likes to use the 13 personnel. They're going to use a tight end. So hey, why not? I mean, if you're the Sam Laporta guy and you have him, which I have him in a dynasty league, I'm also going out there and getting Tyler Conklin as a backup. I mean, because Sam Laporta might be hurt in week 4 and might not come back again.
Yeah.
Conklin's good. Yeah. Well, and we'll talk more about the Lions, especially on the other side of the ball, where I think there is probably going to be a little bit more focus on the upcoming draft. But why don't we go into the NFL news segment? And Tip, do you want to start us
Yeah.
off with news on Justin Fields?
Yeah, this one's funny. Justin Fields traded to the Kansas City Chiefs for a 2027 6th-round pick. Mahomes, there's no question he's injured. He was injured at the end of the season. Does this mean that, hey, is he not all the way ready? Are they, if is he not moving as fast along as everybody thought he had been? I don't know. It could be insurance because they really had no one else behind him at this point. It could be just something to get another body out there, but this one's intriguing. Brian, what do you think on this one?
It was a strange signing for me because I mean Fields he was with Chicago and then the Jets and he's never really shown the flashes that of the quarterback everyone thought he was going to be.
Mhm.
You know, I'm guessing Mahomes may not be ready for this the start of this season. Like
Mm.
they're thinking, or they're just bringing him in so he can play the preseason games and keep Mahomes on the bench and they'll just let him get healthy before the first game.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's kind of interesting about it, though, is that Fields and Mahomes aren't similar quarterbacks. I mean, Mahomes is able to run a bit, but he isn't like a Fields type of running quarterback. And so, it's kind of interesting to see how the rest of the team is going to respond to this, different type of quarterback leading them through the preseason. Now they're veteran; it's a veteran team, so I'm sure it's not going to be as difficult of a transition from Fields back to Mahomes as with a much younger team. But yeah, I thought it was an interesting move. I think the other move that caught my eye, and again, I am a Houston Texan fan, and Christian Kirk, did provide us with some good games, but the 49ers signing Christian Kirk to a 1-year contract, and they also earlier had added Mike Evans. So we're seeing them really fill out their wide receiver room. Any thoughts on how they're going to look with Evans and Christian Kirk?
Yeah, go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, I was surprised to see that the 49ers side signed Mike Evans. He's one of those guys I always thought he'd be with the Tampa Bay Bucks just because he's played his whole career there. And there's some players that just you figure they're gonna just play their whole career for one team. But I mean these are two good signings for the 49ers. They get more help for Purdy out there, and so they don't also have to rely on Greg Kittle so much. And they can use him more and not have to always go with CMC too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, the 49ers wide receiver room did have a number of questions. I mean, I guess I wasn't surprised at all by the Evans signing. Christian Kirk is I guess a filling piece, but I think Evans is still a 1,000-yard wide receiver. He's also a big wide receiver, so he's going to give Purdy a nice red zone target. But again, I guess we'll have to see how the rest of how the draft shakes out too, because there's this, if anything, is more of a wide receiver draft, I think. So we'll see if the 49ers also look at a wide receiver early on.
Yeah, like for me, I think it just screams that that they want to continue to run the ball. They want to continue to get Christian McCaffrey involved. They want to continue to keep the middle of the field open so they can keep McCaffrey involved. And then if they want to, if they want, I don't encourage it, but Mike Evans can still take the top off. The reason I don't encourage it is because of the hamstring. But he can be one of those possession guys. He can be one of those guys in the red zone, as someone that Purdy looked to like George Kittle. He trusts him in the red zone, and if they can gain that trust, I think Christian Kirk could be a little sneaky in this one. But I really like this from Mike Evans, man. If they utilize him right, and you got to believe it's Kyle Shanahan, he's going to utilize him the right way. He's not going to if he's not going to intentionally go get him hurt. Everybody talks about the nuclear power plant stuff, but I mean, these players are they're this is world class organizations. People like I don't think the doctors are great. Well, maybe not for Baltimore, but we'll get on that later. But anyway, but yeah, I think that it is I think it's a good move for them. I think it's good for Brock Purdy as well.
Yeah, Tip, tell us about the quarterback change in Miami.
Look now, so um Tua Tagovailoa is no longer in Miami, and this happened a couple days ago where he signed with Atlanta for the veteran minimum at $1.3 million for a 1 year contract. Matt Gay, who just signed with the Raiders, signed for a $1.6 million contract.
Hmm.
So this is a bargain of all bargains. I mean, I Gardner Minshew got a crazy deal compared to Tua, and Tua's going to start. And I think we're going to get a motivated Tua. You got to remember, this is a really good team that he's playing with. He's got offensive weapons again now. He had weapons a couple years ago, and then they dwindle down and everybody got hurt. But now he's got Bijan, he's got Kyle Pitts, and he's got Drake London. And I really like what they're doing over there, man. And I really think that Tua can be fantasy relevant as a QB2, but that's about it for me. And look, they signed Johan Dotson as well, but like let's don't kid ourselves. Let's don't go that route. Yeah, not unless you are in desperate needs. But yeah, I think it's a good move. And what happened with Miami, Rick? You tell us on that side.
Well, now they've got Malik Willis, who was doing a great job for Green Bay as a backup, and now he's and now he's the man in Miami. Of course, he doesn't have a lot of weapons. I mean, Devon Achane is great running back, but the wide receiver room: Malik Washington, Jalen Tolbert, Tutu Atwell, Greg Dulcich as tight end. So Miami's definitely looking at this as a complete rebuild. They did say that they would not trade Achane. So they probably could have gotten some pretty good draft picks and additional pieces on the defense, but yeah, that's going to be a team that's going to be hard to follow. I feel for my Miami Dolphin fan friends because you know they're looking at a long road in front of them, but we'll see. And I actually had one more question about in Atlanta. They had Michael Penix. He was a surprisingly high draft pick last season, and of course he got hurt with the ACL. But thoughts are that Tua is kind of like that insurance, much like Fields was insurance in Kansas City, or does I know they're saying there's a competition for the quarterback spot, but do you think that this is a 1 year deal for Tua and he'll be there for the 1 year?
Well, what are your thoughts on that, Brian? And then I'll give my thoughts.
I think there's going to be a competition between Tua and Penix there. Because I mean I can't see Atlanta signing Tua. I mean I know it's not a whole lot, but bringing him in and then having him be a backup. I mean the one thing that does worry me with Tua is all the concussions that he's had. you know, with him and Penix both being left-handed QBs, I think it's good that Tua can probably mentor Penix somewhat and show him the different things, since they both throw left-handed, like how he kind of reads defenses and stuff, and help Penix out a little bit more there.
Yeah, I think that, so for Michael Penix to even sniff the starting position, they first of all have got to have confidence in that knee. And I don't think that the staff has confidence at all in that knee. Hence, they go out there and get another quarterback to compete with them. I think Tua was the starter from day one in week one. I don't think Michael Penix will be all the way ready. This is like multiple surgeries that we're talking about. And though I don't care how young you are, I don't care how fit you are, that stuff will take a toll after time. And seems like it may have taken a toll. So yeah, I have no qualms with Tua being the starter. I think that he will be the starter come week one.
And speaking of Miami, and I listed off the Miami Dolphins wide receiver room, and one name was glaringly absent, was Jalen Waddle, who
Yeah.
was traded to the Denver Broncos in a very interesting move. They get a first, and then they move, like, swap a couple of fourths and a late fifth for it. But Tip, what do you think about that move and how this might impact the Denver Broncos?
This might impact the AFC West, because it's one of those situations where, my Raiders, they were making moves after moves. I mean, you can say they're good moves, not good moves. I happen to think they were pretty good moves that we made. So, we were riding high on that, rebuilding. Then Max Crosby thing happens. We get Max back. Now even better. We got better players with Max Crosby now. We got the young rookies, phenom Fernando Mendoza possibly coming over to the Raiders. And it seems like that'll be a done deal. It just looks like the sky is up, right? And then all of a sudden, they get a player that they need. They get a field stretcher, because Marvin Mims is good, but he's not a Jalen Waddle. And now you got a situation where you can take the top off, and you can get Cortland Sutton doing those intermediate routes, those short game routes, those red zone routes. This really, really helps Bo Nix as well. I know the ankle injury, but I really think this helps him a lot. It doesn't help the running back situation, and we could talk about that on another show, because I think that's going to be a jumbled mess. But yeah, I'm really excited about what he can bring to this offense. Now, he's not going to bring you a lot of touchdowns, because he's more of a in between the 20s guy. But Cortland Sutton may have more red zone opportunities.
Yeah, and the Broncos have a deep, deep wide receiver room. When you've got Sutton, Waddle, and Franklin, you've got Pat Bryant, who was a draft pick last year, different type of wide receiver, bigger type, Marvin Mims. You also have, Jordan Humphrey is not bad as a wide receiver. Also, I think he's doing the special teams work as well. So anyway, they have a really deep, deep wide receiver room. You think this, and Sutton's been there for years. Do you think Sutton is, kind of on the tail end, and they were looking at Waddle as taking over as wide receiver one?
I think, and I want to get Brian's answer on this, but I think that they realize that he may be getting to that older part of his career where he can't do it all anymore. He needs some help to keep his career long. Because he's a very physical wide receiver, and if he's out there getting 8 to 10 targets and catching damn near all of them a game, that's 8 opportunities of him getting hit, and 8 times of him getting hit. And if they can scale that down a little bit, but also make him more efficient in the red zone, which he can do, That's where I think it could be a little bit more of a shift for him. But
Yeah.
I think this is a really good move, man. What about you, Brian?
Yeah. It's a good move for the Broncos because I mean we'll see what the Raiders do in the draft, but I mean you could have all five teams all being very competitive. Not now. I mean past few years it's just been Kansas City. Everyone you kind of had Kansas City winning the division and figuring out well what was going to finish second, third, and fourth. The Chargers with Harbaugh now, they're going to be up and coming. They've got like Corum, and getting while the Broncos now they've got a deep threat attack where before it seemed like they were doing a lot of check down passes and everything, and they really weren't stretching the field too much. And if you could throw that deep pass every now and then, the defenses have to honor it, and then you can open up the underneath stuff and get those 2-3 yard passes that end up getting you 5, 10, 15 yards and or runs even.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see a
Although
lot of
I
I
would
can see
say,
a lot of I can see a lot of those routes where it's like Jalen Waddle going down the middle and then all of a sudden he just breaks free because there's blocking down the field and he goes for like a 50-yard gainer just because of his speed. And it's just gonna really, really, really help this offense a lot. But what were you gonna say, Rick?
yeah, I was just going to say, I was going to temper expectations a slight bit. You know, Waddle was good with Tyreek Hill being wide receiver one. When Hill was out, he didn't always step up to take over that wide receiver one role. So, he's got a solid wide receiver one in Denver. And I think that he may be one of those types of wide receivers who's like Robin as opposed to Batman. And, this will end up being good for him as a performance, contributor than if, say, going to a team that was looking at him to be the wide receiver one. But great wide receiver. I mean, he is a really good wide receiver.
Yeah,
So,
it's gonna do really good things for that offense.
now
Now you're gonna talk about your Texans, Rick.
I was going to say, I have to talk about my Texans. How long have we heard, oh, the Texans haven't addressed offensive line? Oh, they just get players and just scrap them together, and poor CJ Stroud's going to get killed. Now they look like a really good offensive line. I think getting Wyatt Teller from Cleveland, and he's a 3-time Pro Bowler, so he's definitely a much better pass blocker than they've had at that position in a while. They've always been okay at, or at least last year, they were a little better at pass protection than they were opening up holes. So this year, though, I think they've got one of the top offensive lines. Now, hopefully that translates into, CJ Stroud not always having to throw out from the flat on the back position or getting destroyed by a defensive lineman. But I'm actually between Ursery and Evan Brown, Jake Andrews, Wyatt Teller, and Braden Smith, who was another acquisition. I think this is their best offensive line that they've had in their history of being the Houston Texans. So I'm excited about seeing how that's going to translate out on the field.
Look at Mason.
Yeah.
Look, we got a lot of comments in here, man. We got some good ones. I'm gonna read them off real quick. Mason says that Waddle is an elite B tier wideout. Okay, and then look, he also follows that up and says that your Reed Blankenship is going to be beastly in Houston. And then
he is going to beast it out there. The defense only got better, which is. And
yeah, that defense. I mean, how could it get better? And it did get better.
This gives them the opportunity, since they addressed the offensive line, that they could look at like an interior defensive lineman in the draft, which will only make that defense even more scary. So.
Oh my God!
And the question about Tank Dell, is he coming back? That's always the hope.
Right. I mean, I think that he's working his way back. I mean, there's been videos of him. I mean, what he did to he shredded his knee. So, that's going to take some time. So hopefully we see him back on the field this year, but that is yet to be seen or heard. All right. So we got some questions for Brian, since he's a big Detroit sports guy. So go ahead, Rick.
Well, and I was just going to again reinforce the fact that we're all lucky because uh, Greg Kellogg isn't here, and so the two of them would probably spend the rest of the show just talking about how great this Detroit Lion is, or this University of Michigan player is, but I'll try to do my best. And I'm noticing, and I think Tip also pointed out that you're wearing a Detroit Red Wings jersey, correct?
Correct.
So tell us a little bit about the Red Wings. I don't have a Houston hockey team, so I root for the Kraken. But tell us about the Red Wings and how it's going to look for them this year. Tell us about hockey.
All right. Well. This season's almost over, and they're battling for the playoffs right now. That they hold the final wild card player spot in the Eastern Conference. So it's gonna be. It's going to come down to probably the last week of this season, depending what they do and what the teams in front and behind them do to find out which teams end up making the playoffs this year.
And they play
Well,
in the Atlantic, so that's isn't that the toughest division
Yeah,
in NHL?
yeah. You've got Tampa Bay. Boston's in there, Montreal, Toronto, but Buffalo, Florida.
well, see, I got a question. So do you play fantasy hockey as well?
I don't, surprisingly.
Oh, okay. Because I
But
was going to
hockey
ask,
is definitely one of
what,
your loves, right?
huh?
And hockey is one of your loves, Brian, right?
Yeah,
Oh, so you want to keep it more pure because you want to just root for your team. You don't want to have to root for other players, and I get that. I get that.
I've got a question for you, and it's specifically, I think, a Detroit thing where they throw octopi.
yeah,
Tell us
yeah, yeah,
why. I have no clue.
Octopus
yeah.
is good though.
No. I was gonna say back in the 50s, there were only 6 teams, and to win the Stanley Cup, you only had to play 2 rounds. And win 4 games each round, which would be 8 wins. And a fan decided to throw octopus onto the ice one day for good luck for them, and they end up winning the cup. So it's become a tradition to throw octopus onto the ice now.
All right.
Oh,
Have you done
nice.
it? Have you done it?
I haven't done it.
Okay, that would seem fun.
That would be something kind of hard to do, is to try to because they have to sneak in an
Yeah. You have to
octopus, right?
try and sneak it in and
Oh, I thought they just had like maybe an octopus and sell like maybe have them on ice or something in the concessions, and it'd be like, look, look,
Hold
this day
beer, hold
only,
octopus.
only $20 an octopus. Trying to make a little extra bread. You know how they do. That's what they should do. I should be a market. I should PR marketing for them. That's how you
Yeah.
do it.
Well, I'll ask a quick question about baseball. Here the Houston Astros are one of the most popular teams in professional baseball, especially related to trash cans. But why don't you tell us about the Detroit Tigers team, which is actually a surprisingly good baseball team?
Finally, their draft picks and everything, like Tarek Skubal, 2 times Cy Young winner. I mean, he's been good. I mean, Riley Green.
Yeah,
it-
I've always been. I've actually. I'll be honest. I've liked the Detroit Tigers and I don't want to age myself, but Al Kaline and that era of baseball. They've always been a team that seems to always play hard without all the hoopla or the buzz that like the coast teams, the East and West Coast teams. So I've always liked the Tigers. But again, I have to still root for my Houston Astros. So, and Tip, I don't even know what is your baseball team?
Oh man, look, I'll be honest. I like the Yankees, and then I just stopped following baseball for a long time. And I think this year I'm going to get back into the baseball, not the fantasy side of it, because I played that a couple of years, but I'm gonna get back into the watching baseball because I didn't really watch a lot of baseball last year, and I heard that it's gotten a little better, like faster, a little bit more fan friendly, I guess, from a baseball standpoint. So I'm curious to see it. So I got all the streaming platforms because it seems like they're going to be on Netflix, Peacock. They're going to be on all sorts of different streaming platforms. So I got them already ready to watch some baseball this year.
Yeah, baseball is great. It's like there's a history of it, but I think that there was heightened excitement around baseball because of the World Baseball Classic,
Yeah.
and you saw some countries, Venezuela came out of nowhere to win that, but there was a lot of national pride as well as just the excitement of baseball. There were a lot of great baseball games being played, and so I think that you'll see a slightly renewed interest. And I hope they do the game where they play it at Field of Dreams. Because
Oh, that's
that
cool.
was also kind of like a cool thing. It's kind of like in hockey when they play the one outdoor game, and it just makes the game very relatable and gives it a different look and feel. So lastly, and and I'm only sad because I hate seeing anyone get hurt, but the Detroit Pistons, who've been I think they're the leading team in the Eastern Conference, right, or Eastern Division.
yeah,
Um,
Eastern Conference.
And they just had just a brutal injury, though. Kate Cunningham, who is one of the real great NBA players, had a collapsed lung. So, what are your thoughts on how that's going to impact the team? And yeah, how soon do you think he's expected back?
Uh, 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 how soon he'll be back? I don't know. I mean, because hope they don't try to rush him back just to rush him back. I mean, they're good enough that they should still be able to finish first or second in the Eastern Conference. You get in a big league like they have. They should be able to finish with a higher seed. And now how far they'll go, they probably can get maybe first, second round. But if they get to the conference finals, if Cade's not back, that's where it's gonna really hurt. If he's able to come back sometime between the second round and the conference finals, that might give him a boost.
Yeah,
Right.
and it's been a kind of a different year. That you're starting to see some other teams that have been more successful this year. San Antonio's been doing great. Lakers just beat my Rockets twice,
Right.
and the Rockets are just like spiraling right now. Um, I almost hate to even think about how they look in the fourth quarter.
Do you think that Ime Udoka's lost the team a little bit?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think so. I mean, you look at fourth quarter performances and just
yeah,
the Rockets. I mean, they had one game the first game against so 2 games ago, the first game against the Lakers, where I think they scored 12 points in the fourth quarter, and I
Yeah.
think in the last 6 or 7 minutes they only scored 4.
Yeah.
And teams have really, and I know that he focuses on defense, and that's great. I think defense is an important part of basketball, but you got to score to win. It's not like a defensive struggle is going to get you through the playoffs. I mean, you have to be able to score, and their offense gets so bogged down. They got Seguin who, tries to muscle the ball up from about the top of the key and tries to muscle his way to the basket. You've got Durant who's double teamed almost every, especially in the second half, but he is double teamed the entire fourth quarter. They don't have enough confidence in Reed Shepherd, so they have no outside shooting. And
I don't know why. I think that kid is good. I mean, I know he's maybe a little on the smaller side, but
he is, and he's kind of like a 6'2" shooting guard.
yeah.
So they really did need to pick up, and this is on the general manager. They really did need to pick up a point guard, and they just didn't do that. They keep thinking, well, next year Fred VanVleet's going to be back, and so we didn't need to make a move now. But you got Amon Thompson, who's just not a point guard. He's a shooting guard, small forward, and and he doesn't like to shoot at all from outside the out of the key. He's just the guy who likes to slice and slam.
Right.
But they are in such a world of hurt now, and I think you're right. And the other comment I saw, one of the television announcers said something like, "If you just look at the team, no one on the team likes it, anyone else on the team."
Yeah.
And that could be a reflection of the coach. That could just be frustration and how things are going the last couple of weeks, but it's just frustrating to watch. So
it could be KD and all of his different burner accounts, and all of that stuff falling out. I mean, like I don't know what to think of that, man. It's so weird.
Yeah, and Terry Eason who was rumored to be part of trades to get them the point guard. They kept him, and instead now he's just he's been almost a complete zero on offense. So it's frustrating. And as a Rocket fan who maybe basketball is my favorite sport to watch, it's really tough to watch. So
now we already talked a little bit about Isaiah Pacheco and David Montgomery, leaving, going to the Texans. And then we also talked a little bit about Isaac Tesla as well. So, I mean, we could jump right into a little golf talk, because this is this is where I'm going to sit down and shut up, because I know very little about golf. I mean, I know how the game is played. I do like watching the Masters that's coming up. But as far as that goes, like, if we getting into some nitty gritty type stuff, I won't be the guy there.
and all transparency, we actually were also having a guest who actually is a fantasy golf writer and podcaster, and so we were trying to find some connection between Brian and the other guest that was expected. And golf seemed to be the one common denominator. So, Brian, I apologize in advance that we're going to look to you as being our golf expert.
No, that's okay. Not sure what happened with the other guest. The fantasy golf part, I don't do, but if you're looking to get into it, and you need to know what players to pick. Scotty Scheffler is number one player in the world right now. Then there's Rory McIlroy, Justin Thomas, Victor Hovland, Tommy Fleetwood, Matthew Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, these are all,
Cameron
and then on
Young.
the women's side, because I do follow a little bit of women's golf just because Nelly Korda looks so good. But
Oh man, you about to make what's her name? What's her name, Rick? Hold up.
Nelly Korda.
Nelly Korda.
Yeah, I was going to say something like Nelly Briswalis, but my wife would come in
Oh
here with a
wow.
knife then. But there was a show on Netflix where they kind of talked about the players on the tour, and there was another tour that was um, kind of controversial. I think it's the Live or LIV tour.
Live, yeah.
And so you had players that were on, it would be almost as if the USFL was started up and was attracting the stars from the NFL so that players then became, and with huge contracts too, because wasn't that what was happening, that the LIV tour was, throwing some huge bucks out at some.
Yeah. Because they're backed by the Saudi. So like the Crown Prince, they've got like as much money as they want. So they were trying to send some of these top players to like 400 or $500 million signing bonuses and stuff to get them to come over there.
Well, I like to watch golf. It's like one of those, a perfect walk type of, this beautiful green, like park-like setting. And except for the whole concept of hitting a small ball with an odd-shaped club, that would really, I found that to be very frustrating the few times I've tried it. So now, miniature golf or pee wee golf or putt putt, and it's called in some parts of the South, I can do that. And if we wanted to set up a fantasy league around putt putt golf, I think I could get
Oh,
into it.
I will embarrass you at putt putt. Now that's where we draw the line. Regular golf, oh never no, because yeah, I went to that Top Golf place once, and man, I
Top
was
golf.
slicing the ball so many times, I could not get it down. It was so hard, dude. I was like, wow,
And
yeah,
every once in a while, you see somebody at Top Golf, who obviously is a long hitter, and so they make it a point of driving it out over the back end of the back fence area of the and getting themselves kicked out, but just for that one ego boost of saying they drove it out. So, Brian, you play golf then, is that correct?
Yeah.
And are I guess there's handicapped or scratch.
right.
Yeah,
Tell us how.
Like how do
I'm
you
a
like, it's like how
I'm
do
a
you say, are you a good golfer? Yeah.
yeah, I'm a 10 handicap.
Okay. That's good.
Not bad.
That's
I think I
good.
broke 100 once.
Man, that's
It's-
actually really good.
I'll say I will say this. It can be very frustrating,
Yeah.
but the more you play it, and when you start learning out how to swing the club properly and how to hit the ball, it, it gets to be a lot more enjoyable. But like even when you're starting out, like when my brother and I were starting out, like we'd be shooting 100 and stuff, but there'd always be like one shot that you hit that'll just keep you coming back, where you just hit a shot perfect, and it's just like
Yeah, I think when I was playing and I would just do it like I had some friends that were into golf, and so in fact I could tell a funny story. One played for the Fresno State team, one became a professional golfer, teaching pro, and one was just a good golfer, and there was me. And so we go to this course, Riverside course in Fresno, and we're foursome, we're teeing off, and it's the first tee, so people are kind of like circling around, looking. And of course, the guy that turned out to be a professional golfer, he hits the ball, I don't know, 280 down, straight down the center. And you could just hear the people like watching go, ooh. And then the next guy pulls out a 1-iron. And, God, if anyone's playing with a 1-iron, they have to be, they're masochists or really good. And he hits that thing and just line drives it down the left-hand side of the fairway. And then the third guy, he hits a 3-wood. And his has a little bit of a fade, but it's still right down the center. And now I'm the fourth player getting up, and I'm just saying to myself, please just get off the tee. I don't care where it goes, just get off the tee. And I sliced it into the trees to the right, and it was still in quiet around the rest of the people. They were probably all thinking, how did he get with that foursome? But I would play for one if I'd get one good shot. That would get me to want to come back. So
I got a couple questions for you, Brian, and then we're gonna close up shop. But the first question is, have you been to the Fantasy Football Expo before?
No, I haven't.
No. Have you ever thought about going out there and hanging out with the guys out there and kicking off your fantasy year?
Yeah. I've thought about doing it. Trying to get out there one year.
Okay. I mean, this year, guys, it is on July 25th to the 27th, I believe. Is that right, Rick? Okay.
Yep, and I already have my ticket.
Rick already has his ticket.
Plane tickets, hotel room,
and then look,
rental car.
We are going to party it out. Brian, I hope you're there. I hope everybody else is there as well. Brian, last question before we go.
Okay.
You're a Detroit guy, but you also live in South Carolina, right?
Right.
So I'm going to ask you this. A pierogi or South Carolina barbecue?
Pierogi for me. I'm Polish, so growing up, like for Easter and stuff, we'd have kielbasa and pierogies and everything for dinner. So
I'll be honest. I would have been that little meme of the girl saying, "Why not both?"
Hey, there he is. Keith.
Hey, sorry, I am right at the gun as usual. Very on brand for me. What's going on, guys?
What's going on, brother? What's going on?
We were just talking golf.
Look, we're gonna bring you on because we got about 3 minutes. We want to talk some golf.
Yeah.
So talk to us about
golf, especially
some fantasy golf in general. How do we play it? Like, how do we get what's going on with that?
So
keep flipping everybody with fantasy six pack. By the way,
there's two avenues. I feel like now that like fantasy golf, I don't know too many people that do like traditional fantasy leagues. There used to be. Now there's obviously DFS, which is awesome because you can do it for like just one round. You can do it for a whole tournament. But what's becoming really popular is what they call one and done leagues. So it starts at the beginning of the PGA Tour season. Every week you pick one golfer. You get like if they win $40,000, $400,000, that's what you get to your total. But you can only use the golfer once throughout the season. And then whoever at the end of the year, like their one pick, has the most money accumulated basically from tournament winnings ends up winning the leagues. And they're a lot of fun because there's a lot of strategy to it. Cause like, obviously, some tournaments, the purses are a lot bigger. So you would want to save like Scotty Scheffler, Rory, those kind of guys who do very well, in the biggest events. But man, you have like guys miss the cut at like the Masters or something where first place is $4 million. Like you're fighting an uphill battle at that point,
Yeah.
And do they have it both for the men's tour as well as the women's tour? And is just PGA or is it?
They do both for the one and done. I'm not gonna lie, I'm shocked they don't do DFS for the ladies. They do it for the European tour, and I don't even think they do it for the Live tour. But unfortunately, like on DraftKings, which is I don't do FanDuel. I just how it is. You get more comfortable with one site, so that's like what I do both football and golf with. They don't have ladies events, which I tell people, as somebody who used to be an assistant golf pro and worked in the golf business for forever, the women are actually who you should be trying to replicate their swings. None of us are going to be able to swing the golf club. Well, I shouldn't say none of us. Most
It's
of
more
us
of
are
a
not going to be
human
able to swing a
skill,
golf
isn't
club.
it?
Exactly. Because I mean, they have such better golf swings, to be honest. Because guys just swing so hard, and most of us would fall down if we tried to swing a club 100 and 20, 30 miles an hour like these guys are. But the girls hit it so far, like for their size and everything, they're swinging at speeds that we could like replicate. And I always say, like, if you want to see a golf swing that you should emulate and try to, become in your own game, watch the ladies, not the guys. Because the guys on tour, they're just they hit it so freaking far and they swing so hard. And the balance that it takes to be able to generate that much speed and for everyday folks not to almost fall over is almost impossible. To where, again, like the ladies, they have a lot smoother and, in my opinion, better golf swings than most of the guys.
Wow, that's some pretty cool insight there that you're getting. And wait, we're gonna keep it rolling just a little bit longer, guys, because look, Keith, you can see the Atlanta jersey or the Atlanta Hawks emblem on his. I can't say what his hat says. Let me see what his hat says.
It's a Georgia golf. Go Dogs.
He's a Georgia Bulldog. He's in the Atlanta area. Like, this guy's Atlanta through and through, and Atlanta has made some big changes here recently, especially with the Tua thing. And I really want you to get your bars off about this, because I know you got some good stuff to say.
Oh man. The more things change, the more they stay the same. This franchise, man, it's like an abusive relationship at this point. Like, I've been a Falcons fan for 3 freaking decades, like a real fan. You know what I mean? Like, since I was basically 10, 11 years old, I have been a Falcons fan. And every year there comes a point, it seems to be earlier and earlier each season, where I'm like, I'm done with them. This is it. I'm not taking anymore. They won't sucker me into it. And then sure enough, like, I get brought right back in, before the next season rolls around. I was a season ticket holder for almost 10, 12 years, was there for the Michael Vick years, which I can't even really explain to people how exciting he was now at this point. Like, it was the most electric thing, but it's the most Atlanta thing ever that, he was in the NFC title game. He got hurt. Then the dog fighting happened and he was just gone. And like, it was so abrupt, but it's just been a litany of stuff for us. Like,
but you also lived through the Matt Ryan years, so you had some good things.
They were good.
That's the prime, man. Like, that's by far the best the Falcons have ever been. And they had never even had back-to-back seasons of 500 or better until Matt Ryan and Mike Smith in the early 2000s. This franchise has been around since 1965. And going into the 2010s, we never even have back-to-back 500 seasons. And, everybody obviously talks about 28-3. I get it. But 2012, man, NFC title game, like, we blew a 14-point lead. I was in the building at home to Colin Kaepernick, San Francisco 49ers. 2017, first and goal from the 7 in Philly to the eventual Philadelphia Eagles, who won the Super Bowl. We couldn't get it in the end zone. It's just rough. And,
so tell us your thoughts on Tua and Penix, or Tua, Penix, and somebody else.
It's sort of the same situation, right? Like, the talent, like, I don't have a problem with Tua's talent. I think that at least I can understand why people, in the organization would go, okay, this could work. Like, we have a pretty good offensive line. Drake London is a legit beast. Obviously, Bijan is, uber talented. Kyle Pitts at least looked like not a bust last year. So, like, I can see it. Like, I think we can protect him, and he's accurate, but he's a ticking time bomb, just like Michael Penix. And what I mean by that is with the injuries. And I dogged him so bad for drafting Penix at 8 because we had just given a quarterback $100 million guaranteed. And then, like, the thought process to then take a quarterback, literally weeks later is just really tough to understand. And then on top of that, you take a guy that had an extensive injury history, higher than most people had him projected. And it makes even worse when Bo Nix who went like 4 picks later, looks really good and did not have all the, the health flags. So I feel like this is, and again, this is just being a Falcons fan and what this franchise is about. They're trying to build a fantasy football team. I mean, the fact that we had 3 straight top 8 picks and we went a tight end, the highest tight end selected ever, a running back and a wide receiver. We didn't have a quarterback. Like, what sense does that make that you're going to load up on these offensive guys where the rookie contracts is why you do something like this? And we don't have a quarterback. And the sad thing is we're about to have to pay all 3 of those guys because they're all pretty good at their position. And we still don't have a quarterback. So it's just like,
and
what's
this
going to
year's
happen?
not a quarterback year, but next year, are you thinking that, Tua is a 1-year player? Penix may or may not survive with the knee. And so someone like a Sellers or someone like that.
I just pray that we're going to get a guy because, Ryan's so underrated in Falcons lore. And I understand it because, people idolize Michael Vick and it's hard to follow up Michael Vick, but he was more successful from a winning and losing perspective. And he was everything we needed. And I just outside of really the 2-3 years of Vick and Ryan, my entire life, we've always had below average quarterback play. And it makes me sick to see franchises like New England, Indy, Green Bay, that they have these Hall of Fame quarterbacks and then they immediately get somebody really, Green Bay's gone from literally Favre to Rodgers to Love. And no matter what you think of Love, he's a really good quarterback. He's definitely not somebody that, he's a franchise guy moving forward. And we just can't get that. And again, if you just want to know what it is being a Falcons fan, we trade a first rounder for James Pierce, which I questioned.
Oh, I was going to ask
you
about James Pierce too.
I was proved wrong. The guy's really good. And then what does he do? Oh, he gets arrested. He's probably going to jail. So we just wasted that. And we don't have a first rounder this year. And it's just that is, again, if you're trying to explain being a Falcons fan to an outsider, that's perfectly it. It's even when we're right, we're wrong.
Yeah, you have such a young defense, and conceivably or conceptually a really good defense, and yet Jalen Walker, James Pierce, Zach Harrison. You go through that whole list and go.
It's tough. I do like Stefanski. Where are you guys on that? Because it's it's a homer. You come around to where you're like, oh, I'm excited about this. But I do think he's one of the better coaches we've had in the last couple of decades.
I think you guys are going to be pleasantly surprised on the offensive side. And he's got some good weapons there. Tua's the question mark. You got a good O-line too. I think he's going to do some really good things. I don't think he's had the talent because even when Cleveland was doing good, they didn't have the talent that this team has on offense. So, I think he can really do some nice things with it. It's just, is it going to take a little bit of time? Yeah. And when is it going to start clicking? And hopefully it's not too late.
You're telling me because only the Jets have had a longer playoff drought than we have. We hadn't had a winning season since 2017. And in the NFL, that's impossible. Every year a team goes from one of the worst records in the league to sneaking into the playoffs. And that's when people are like, what do you want? I just want to win 9 games. Can I just win 9 games? That's it. That's all I'm asking for.
Yeah, this is their year. This is their year. Even with the Pierce stuff, this is their year to take that leap. And
from your lips to God's ears, my friend.
Yeah, this is their year. They can't let Carolina build on what they're doing. They can't. They gotta beat Tampa Bay down, and the Saints are still. They're still on the.
I like Shuck though, man. I was wrong about him too. Dude's good, man.
Yeah, I like him, but they're still on. They still got some pieces left to put on that team. But you know what? Hey, that's going to be the show for tonight. Look, before we go, Keith, I want you to tell everybody what you're working on with Fantasy Six Pack. Tell everybody what you're working on right now, please.
Well, let me first off say that I am the worst for being this late. It was a nightmare driving home. Atlanta traffic now Thursday has basically turned into Friday traffic, and I just hate it because you are like the kindest dude in the world, and I feel like a jerk. But
You're good,
you're so
brother.
nice. You're telling
Hey,
us saying, promote yourself.
We've
Promote
all
yourself.
gone through it. Don't worry.
But I am at Fantasy Six Pack. If you go to fantasysixpack.net, I do both golf and football content, mostly DFS. I do cheat sheets for our all access members where I give you basically, there's plays and then some brief notes. And then if you're an all access member, you can hit me up in Discord and happy to, go into more detail with it. But I eat, sleep, breathe data. I love it. I'm a huge nerd. I love this space, getting to go to Canton this year. I met Tip and just like was blown away by how kind he was. And it's been really awesome to get to, become friends. And that's what's
Absolutely.
great about this space, man, is people are just so kind. And there's just like, I don't know any other like profession, sport, whatever you want to call it, where you just meet people and everybody's so nice and just, it's an amazing community. And I appreciate you guys. I hope you'll let me come on a show one day where I
Okay, we
show
got
up
you.
actually at the beginning and not at the very end. But I do like, I appreciate you guys. Big fan of both of your work. Brian, I apologize that again, I ran in and just ran my mouth for 8 minutes straight, but that's kind of what I do. But again, thank you so much. And check out, there's a lot of great stuff at fantasysixpack.net. We'd appreciate if you checked it out.
Absolutely. Brian, tell everybody where they can follow you, please.
All right. I'm on X, and it's at Dudak. My last name .Brian.
All right. I'm going to try to put that in there. Can you spell that for everybody?
Yep. DUDEK. And first name is Brian, BRIAN.
Perfect. All right, awesome. I put that in the comment section there as well. So everybody go give him a follow and give Keith Fleming a follow. I know everybody probably is already following Keith.
No, they're definitely not. So I would appreciate
look, you got Keith's app there as well. And then Rick, tell everybody what you're working on and what you got going on as well.
Oh,
got
I'll
Scott
be
Fish
here
coming up too.
on Thursday nights. I'll get a chance to, and I think next week we get Greg back. So it'll be the three of us. We have a really good guest next week. Alan Seppin. Oh boy,
I'm going to try Seslowski.
Seslowski. He is with RotoWire. He is also with SiriusXM. And we're going to talk about, everyone's been talking about the draft and, incoming rookies. We're going to change it up a little bit. We're going to dive deeper into strategy, both roster management, player management, including trade and free agent pickups. So, and he is one of the sharpest analysts. So, hope people will be back here next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. And Tip, tell us what you're working on.
Yeah, so I just signed on with Matthew Berry's Fantasy Life. Man,
my man.
I'm so excited about that.
You're the man, Tip.
Thank you, man. I
I
got an article coming out really soon. And I'm working on another one already. So that one should be out after that.
So cool.
And I also do work with Football Guys, Rotoballer. I do spaces on Wednesday night. Please come check out those spaces. Saw JC on them last night. And I know I've seen Keith in there before and Rick as well. But man, come check it. And Brian, you've been in there too. So all you guys, please, Wednesday nights.
They're a lot of fun.
With me, Nico, and Natter. Man, we have a lot of fun. And next week, we got Scott the King Angle, and we got another guest that's on television for the NFL Network.
This is what I'm talking about. He's gonna leave us, guys. That's what I'm worried about. Is Tip's gonna be hanging out with like Matthew McConaughey and stuff in a few weeks. And
he's gonna step on my fingers as I hold the ladder as he climbs to the success.
But man, please, we put a lot of work into those spaces and we want to turn this into something big. So this is going to be a lot of fun. And then, of course, the Thursday check down every Thursday with you guys. And I can't wait till next week. It's going to be exciting. This one was a great show. Let's go ahead. We're out, everybody. Peace.